Hey y'all, it's Stacey. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're making one of my favorite bread recipes. This is my recipe for the best garlic bread. Now, I am no stranger to buying the box of frozen garlic bread at the grocery store, and I think it's perfect for a quick and easy meal. But if you want to do something a little more special, this is the recipe for that. To start, I've got 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter melted here in a saucepan. To this, I'm going to add 4 cloves of garlic that I've minced. Now, you can run this through a garlic press, but I kind of like the bigger chunks, just the look of that. You're gonna need about 2 tablespoons once this is all finely minced. What I'm gonna do is I'm just pouring this into our butter here and gonna allow that to steep a little while we prepare our bread. Let's talk about that. So, what I'm using here is a 14 to 16 ounce loaf of soft French bread. Now that's a terrible descriptor because it's not really French bread. It's really more like an Italian loaf. Because when we talk about French bread, we really think baguette. This is not like the hard crusty baguette. This is a nice soft loaf. So you may just have to look around to find the right thing. I'm just gonna split this right down the middle with my bread knife here. And then I've got a rimmed baking sheet that I've limed with aluminum foil just to make the cleanup process a little bit easier. Now that we've allowed this garlic to steep in our butter a little bit, I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now we start with unsalted butter and we add salt. That way we can control the salt content, because a lot of times different brands of salted butter will have different amounts of salt. So starting with unsalted allows us to control that salt content. This is a tablespoon of dried parsley flakes. It just makes it look nice. It's not really gonna add a ton of flavor, but it's gonna give us that nice green pop of color. You could absolutely leave it out. You could even use fresh parsley if you wanted to. We're just gonna brush this right on the top of our bread here. Starting with the brush method is gonna ensure that we get all of our bread coated, but then you can switch to a spoon to make sure that we get all of that garlic on our bread and not left in the pot here. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. This is gonna go in the oven for about 15 minutes or until it's just starting to get golden brown on the edges. And then I like to turn the broiler on and make sure that it gets nice and crispy on the exterior. The one thing that you're gonna wanna keep in mind with that though, is that you wanna make sure that you watch it very closely, because when you're broiling, it can get away from you very quickly. So you wanna just stand there right at the oven and watch. All right, so this has been in the oven for about 15 minutes. I put it under the broiler for about 3 minutes and you can see how nice and golden brown and bubbly that is. Slice it up, serve it warm, and it's the perfect complement to nearly any meal. Folks, you can find this super easy recipe on my website at southernbite.com. Just visit the Simply Southern TV section. Y'all enjoy.
While that seems to be one of the easiest recipes Stacey's made, I would suggest looking at the recipe on his website before you try to make it.
He has some tips on there about how to make sure your garlic bread is the best. For instance, he tells you how to select the right loaf of bread so that the proportions of all the ingredients are accurate.
Thank you for watching Simply Southern today. I hope you'll plan to join us again next week when Melissa Bowman laces up her dancing shoes at the National Square Dance Convention, which this year was held right here in Alabama.
And we'll continue our profiles of the finalists for the title of Alabama's 2023 Outstanding Young Farm Family. I'm Mary Wilson.
And I'm Kevin Worthington. We'll see you next time.
Simply Southern is produced by the Alabama Farmers Federation and made possible with the support of Alabama Farmers Cooperative and these sponsors.